Welcome to the Teachings of Michael. I am Robert Tice. It has been my joy to serve these universal teachings since 1998. I hope they will inspire you, as they have for me, to reclaim a new, sovereign relationship with Spirit. Thank you for listening. And a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us for another live episode of Conversations with Michael. My name is Robert Tice, and we invite you to join us on the first Friday of each month, streaming live here from our own home studio just outside of Portland, Oregon. We're streaming today through YouTube Live. You can watch this show either on our website at theteachingsofmichael.com, or if you look at the bottom of the player there on the Conversations with Michael page, you're also welcome to participate on the YouTube channel. There's a link there that you just click on. You know, Oregon here offers such a rich variety of beautiful landscapes, and we are truly feeling blessed to call this home. A lot about Oregon that speaks to our love for nature, and at the same time recognizing that we're living here in one of the most, if not the most, intense times ever on Earth, that it helps us to connect to nature on a regular basis. So if you're new to Ancient Wings and the Teachings of Michael, you are invited to check out our website. We've been serving the integrated human-soul relationship since 1995 in a variety of heart-based programs and services. This is really not for everyone, even though it's probably the most rewarding experience any human being could have. It's also the most challenging, as everything that is not yours to own comes up to be set free. So it continues to be our honor to serve such a courageous group of people from all over the world. And from that place, we understand that we're not working with those who are just entering their own awakening, because a lot of what's being presented here through our teachings, through our courses, is not for the beginner. This is really advanced self-mastery, what we're working with here. Those who have not only woken up, but have chosen to embody the presence of their soul. Michael's going to talk about that after we get through our brief introduction here. So again, thank you for your trust. Thank you for sharing your presence. And on that note, let's take a deep breath as all of us tune into the group that has joined us here today, both in the non-physical world and those of you who are watching online. And notice the unique quality of energy that is here, not just from those that we used to look to provide that energy, but notice the energy that is radiating from all of you, and how that's getting closer and closer to being a pretty close match to what we used to only feel from our own non-physical angelic friends and family. Such a bold choice that we've all made to allow this kind of integration to become this real. So, let's take a quick peek at what's coming up before I turn this over to Michael. And let's begin by talking about Soul Fire. This is a course that is now streaming live. It's a 3.5-hour class that was presented on June the 29th. We offer a variety of live sold-out classes as a video on demand. You have unlimited access to each video for up to 90 days, and I would really consider this to be an advanced self-mastery class as well, as Michael dove right into the core as it relates to being a conscious creator of your own experience. So I invite you to go to our website, click on the In Studio tab there on the top. There you'll be able to select Soulfire, and on that page you'll be able to watch a free video sampler. If this speaks to your heart, you're welcome to participate at any time. We keep these sold-out classes available to people for quite some time so that everyone has access to them. And to help you to what? Well, to help you to integrate the presence of your own divine nature into your day-to-day reality. We have coming up as well another in-studio class presented live, and you're now free to sign up for what's called Passion, Allowing, and You. It begins on Friday, August 17th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a 3-part class with the final part devoted to your questions, and this tends to be one of the favorite parts of all of our in-studio classes, as we allow each of you, all attendees and participants, to interact with Michael and myself throughout the course, throughout the class, and at the end of the class to present your questions to us. So this title pretty much sums up what to expect from this class, but having said that, before each class, Michael and I tune into the energy of those of you who have chosen to participate, and we really, in a way, custom design our presentation in a way that can be of best service to those who are attending. So we are encouraging you to sign up now because we're offering a limited time early bird special. Again, just click on the in-studio class tab and select Passion, Allowing, and You. And as well, we have enjoyed over the years so many people who have voluntarily offered reviews sharing their own experience of everything that we offer, and those have been posted on our website for a long time. And we do this because your feedback is really important to us. It helps us to better serve you. So if any of you have participated in any of our online programs, classes, or services, feel free to send us your comments anytime. We'll gladly post them on any of our review pages. And as a side note, all of our reviews are received and published without any payment, incentives, or gifts offered from Ancient Wings or the teachings of Michael. And finally, you're also welcome to participate in our latest closed Facebook page titled Masters Unplugged, and what that refers to is being unplugged from mass consciousness, a very old story. In a way, what we're doing is experimenting with some of the things that have been shared through Michael for the last 25 years, through me, to help you understand what it means to be the voice of your own soul. We're using this group as a place where we're practicing not being reactionary human beings, practicing not taking things so personally, practicing, again, giving voice to the presence of your own soul. So it's an honor for us to, again, work with the new conscious creators, especially during these intense times of transformation. And as a part of being a part of this closed group, on the first and third Wednesday of every month, we stream a live, free, 30-minute session with Michael directly to the Facebook page. So feel free to go to Facebook, type in Masters Unplugged once you're logged into Facebook, and you can get more information on how to join if you'd like to request joining that page. So let's go back here to taking another deep breath. Thank you all again for being with me and being with my beloved wife and partner, best friend, Coca, who is here again today in support of what we are doing by sharing her unique presence, the presence and lineage that's very much connected to Isis, that allows us to then share that with all of you. Let's take a deep breath as I like to offer a very seamless, a very natural transition between our conditioned human nature and what we call our own soul in relationship with what we also call our eternal self. Indeed. Indeed, it is that eternal self. I am Michiel, and it's my honor to be with each of you in this very unique and awesome way. Let's take a deep breath together here, dear ones. We understand that the times that you are experiencing are, indeed they are, the most intense times ever on this planet. Well, you might argue with us and say there were times when survival issues were at the very forefront of your day-to-day reality. But in a way, those really aren't fair comparisons when you're really experiencing now such a rapid fire transition into a unknown reality, unknown to any past experience, unknown to any human experience, that has grand advances by technology itself, introducing rapid fire changes to how you will be experiencing your life, whether you choose to work or use the technologies the vast majority of humanity will. Those of us that reside in the non-physical realms, we continue to be literally awestruck by some of the choices so many of you make every day, every hour, and every moment of every day. Oh no, we know we talk about the millions who initially incarnated in service to what? In service to the light of creation. And really that's what you are doing here. Your service isn't so much to humanity, it's up to them whether they want to receive what you are radiating. Your service continues to be to the light of creation. Well, we understand that over the last 50 years, the millions who initially incarnated has dwindled down to, well, several thousand who are still on this planet, devoted to their freedom. And we understand that that feels even smaller than the few million that initially were here. But we have never seen, nor has any of the rest of your human family ever experienced, so many awakened human beings collectively sharing their own radiance in a way that even if humanity doesn't recognize it or feel it, we see it. We see it. We know from your human perspective how you like to perceive your angelic friends, but it is we who are now bowing before you. Truly. It is we, I, Michiel, who is reluctant to bow before anyone. As a sovereign creator of my own experience, I find myself being truly humbled by you, each of you. And so I bow before you from a place of gratitude. Let's take a moment here as you allow yourself to truly feel your true value to all of life, what we are witnessing now from our perspective, has never been seen before in any time throughout all of creation. Oh, we know all of you have been duped into perceiving your life in what once was a 3D reality as being at the lowest point in all of creation. You've been suggested, you've been offered that you must climb some kind of hierarchical ladder in order to get back home. And in fact, most of those teachings have it backwards, as much of the information that you find here on earth needs a lot of discernment. We, your angelic friends and family, we come in service now to the choices that you had to make yourself. And the most profound choice any of you could have made was the choice to become a conscious creator of your own experience. And that choice has created tremendous shifts, not only in your own life, but in all dimensions. Now, unfortunately for your human self, you'll have to take these words at face value, because right now, you don't enjoy the overview that we see. You haven't quite opened up far enough yet to receive that perception that's available to you, even as a human being. And so the same shifts that you experienced in your own life as you slowly disentangled yourself from what you're not, these changes will continue on this planet as your human experience enters into uncharted territories. Will that create some fear amongst all of you who have already awakened? Indeed. Will that create a lot of fear? These uncharted territories for mass consciousness? Indeed it will. Indeed it will. Because when you are here, and because you are here, and because you being here has shifted from this focus on trying to improve your human condition to allowing your human condition to become more fulfilling by allowing the part of you that is already free to also be here with you, then that changes everything. Because the part that is free has allowed consciousness to coexist within them. Consciousness, then, has a way of changing all of life. Consciousness has a way of insisting that what keeps you stuck must be set free. All of you are experiencing that now as it relates to your own personal experience. But as it relates to the collective consciousness of mass consciousness, your entire human family, freedom has always been something that they tried to obtain from outside of themselves. Opposing, pushing against, doing battle with each other, all that continues, or all that becomes transformed. Why? Because of you. Because of your devotion to this freedom first for yourself. And that's where it must start, is this whole notion of it beginning to be first for yourself, for it to have an impact on how it could then actually serve others. You have heard us talk about the difficulties of being so selfish as it relates to making yourself first. Initially, that brought up some human emotions that relate to being first always as being kind of a ego trip. And if it is from the ego, then of course it is that. But this is not what we are offering to embellish your ego. What we were offering was to embellish your self-worth, to embellish your value, to embellish your sense of deservability, so that you could get comfortable being in your natural state. And what is that natural state? Well, naturally, you feel like I feel all the time. Magnificent. Why? Because we are lovers of life, dear ones. How could a lover of life not feel magnificent? Not want to participate in life, not want to dive into their own creations. A lover of life is rare, is it not? You think it's only rare here on this planet, but a lover of life, one who is comfortable with all the passions that get stirred up when you choose to love self first, and to dive into what you're creating for yourself, for the joy of it. One would think that all of creation would relish such an opportunity, but it's not so. One would think that all of creation that's not here on earth embraces passion as a natural part of living, but it is not so. What you are doing here changes how the rest of creation feels about themselves. We understand this can be a little confusing as it contradicts so many other teachings. So be it. If it speaks to your heart, then embrace it with your heart. If it doesn't, then let it go. Let it go. Maybe come back at a later time and see if this is really your truth too. So let's take a deep breath there. Because this is a special time that we are experiencing here together. An extraordinary time. We've asked so much of you, all of you, in terms of getting so clear about just being you, being inside of your own creations, being inside your own energy. So much has been asked of you to be so clear about what it means and how it feels to be sovereign. We know that has been awkward and at times really uncomfortable, at times painful, to let go of the things that you no longer identify as being you. Letting go of family members, letting go of your relationship to your gender and what that has represented for you. Letting go of all the social issues that humanity keeps turning over and over and over, trying to find resolution. Letting go of your appetite for diving into wanting to change the world through political motives. We've asked you to participate on this earth without being a part of the consciousness that is stuck. And for most of you, initially that sounded really good. But as you got deeper and deeper into how devoted you are to this freedom from the inside out, your human heart started to feel a little awkward, letting go of so much. it started to feel a little alone. It started to go back into those fear-based emotions, identifying with those more than the new feelings that were coming in. And for a lot of you, that's where you put your foot on the brake pedal and you started to question the cost of this freedom. And we say to those of you who have put your foot on the brake pedal, as if that is natural to stop change itself, but we say to all of you, that's actually okay. It's okay. If this isn't the time, if this isn't the year, if these next 5 years is not the opportunity that you want to allow yourself to really experience this kind of freedom, it's okay. There's no judgment. There's no expectation on our part. There is but you experiencing you. The you that you choose to be. We are suggesting that there is more to you than what humanity has given you permission to experience. And we know that who you also are doesn't necessarily fit comfortably into all the ways that humanity has presented any kind of spirituality. And so it leaves the human mind and that delicate human heart questioning a lot. And again, we say, that's okay. It's just fine. But if you want to go deeper into, by diving into a new passion for living, then it does require of any of you to make this embodied human soul relationship the most important experience. Not from the broader perspective, but it needs to be the most important experience in your day-to-day reality. It requires of you to shift your perception of what's happening throughout your mundane activities just as they are, and to notice how it feels very different to your humanness when you allow the presence of your soul to look through your eyes, to feel what you feel, to sense what you are sensing. Let's take a breath there. We'd like to revisit some of our earlier teachings, or we'd like to revisit them as we presented them through our partner Robert. And like all teachings, no matter who is the teacher acts like a gardener, knowing that they're really basically just planting seeds. Planting seeds. Sometimes it can take years, sometimes decades before what was planted actually becomes known. Like seeds in your garden. Through our teachings, in this case, it is not water that's bringing these seeds into your conscious awareness. It's your heart. It's your own heart. It's an awakened heart. It is a deep and sincere knowing without knowing why or even how, that you are much more than just a human being. You are much more than just getting up every day to go do a job just to pay the bills. You're much more than someone that's tolerating an uncomfortable relationship with another human being, but you're willing to tolerate it because you don't trust that another human being would actually appreciate you, honor you, respect you, love you. You're much more than just a carbon-based body that eventually breaks down, dies. You're also this magnificent light body that offers a very different relationship in this physical vessel you call your own human body. You're much more than just the thoughts that your conditioned biological brain, this mind, knows. Oh, it knows a lot until you created what you're creating now in your computers. But it only knows what it knew yesterday. And what it knew yesterday for your mind began when you were born with this physical body. You're much more than all of this. You're much more than these emotions that for so long have defined how you feel about life and have regulated the choices you make in your life. You thought being free from your mental and emotional perspective was creating a safe, comfortable place in your life, a known reality, until you got bored, until you realized you had shut down, until you realized there's not enough medication on the entire planet that can shut this knowingness down completely. This is why so many of us stand before you with such gratitude, because you trusted in this knowingness without any proof that it was real. You trusted how you were feeling. And where we are going with all of this in terms of trusting yourself as a creator is all about trusting how you feel about your perception. And we go so far to say it really doesn't matter if there's any other being in all of creation, let alone this planet, who shares your unique perception. That's what it means to be sovereign. It doesn't mean you're cast out of any group. It doesn't mean that you're not appreciated or valued. It means that you are appreciated by fellow conscious creators who have also chosen their own sovereignty and enjoy listening and feeling and sharing with other creators. How you could be experiencing being here on the same planet, but have a completely different perspective of what's really going on. You've chosen to embrace our perspective, but it's a broad perspective that allows you to do with it whatever you want. Revisiting then the story of life. And again, many of you have heard this story. It began a long, long time ago in a place that you know without knowing how that was your original home. It's also been called the kingdom. In this place, you knew yourself as being the Eternal One, the source of life. Always one in this place. Or should we say, in this state of consciousness? The kingdom again was your home, your original home. It represented the original comfort zone. And if you've been following our teachings, then you know how we feel about comfort zones. And over what you could consider time, even though in your original home there was no time as you know it, or space, but to accommodate your human consciousness. A time came when the Eternal One made a very bold choice. This presence set itself free from residing within the confines and the comfort of the original home, the kingdom. This choice gave birth to countless counterparts or aspects of itself. Each one became known by what we call an eternal self. The eternal self was the Eternal One multiplied by eternity, now existing outside this confinement, outside the comfort of the kingdom. This was the choice that gave birth to sovereignty. It offered the Eternal One a very different perspective of itself. It gave this presence a new sense of freedom as it continued to multiply as individuated aspects or counterparts of its self. I, Michael, represent but one of these aspects. This choice created a new order, very different from what was known inside the comfort zone called the kingdom. And perhaps even order isn't the correct term here. It literally created a new reality, one that was supported by expansion and change. Now, it wasn't better than home, but it was radically different. And the difference for the Eternal One brought a lot of joy to the Eternal One. This impulse to create countless counterparts of itself, well, it never ended. Because that very gift, as being a creator, was passed on to every fragment. Every eternal self now experienced this same joy, this same impulse in their own unique way, in their own unique way, different from how others were experiencing this gift. So to keep it very simple, every eternal self recognized that it now was given the freedom to experience all of existence without any conditions, without any control and without any interference from the Eternal One. Now, this was considered to be, from the heart of the Eternal One, a sacred gift that it was giving to itself, multiplied by all these eternal selves, to consciously now create. This was freedom for the Eternal One, to allow itself to multiply without any control. Much, of course, has happened since those initial impulses, and we know you're all enamored with the variety of galactic stories of, well, what happened with all this, and we've shared some of those. But that, to me, is really a distraction to what you're now experiencing here. Because what does this have to do with you? What does this story have to do with you as a human being living here on this planet called Earth? How does this story apply to you? So you've heard me say this many times. If not for if not for us, all of us as eternal selves, none of you would be here. None of you. Or to be more blunt, none of you would actually exist. And at the same time, if not for you, none of us, the eternal self, would be here at this time. So let's keep that in perspective here. Each and every time a conscious creator that we call the eternal self chose to duplicate the whole setting itself free process, it created yet another version of itself. And we call that the soul. When we address each of you as being counterparts of a non-physical presence, we are referring to your eternal self and to you as the soul. Now, you have heard us refer to your true self, your authentic self, many times, over and over again. And in that context, we're not acknowledging that to be your biological brain, or your carbon-based body, or your conditioned human emotions as being that authentic self. They represent yet another aspect of being human. We have called that, to keep it more in line with humanity's terminology, your human personality, living inside a physical vessel. So this whole awakening process has invited each of you to reclaim your true identity, to identify with you as being the soul, not intellectually, not emotionally, but by allowing the energetic presence of the soul to also be in this body with you, with the mind, with the emotions, and with this carbon-based body. In that choice, you've become conscious of a type of sacred triangle. Remember that word, because we began to use it 20 years ago. Sacred triangle that serves to support now your new identity, your experience as a human being. You acknowledge that the mind with its emotions has been pretending to be you while existing inside yet another contained comfort zone called your physical body, while existing inside yet another contained comfort zone called your physical body. Does this ring a bell? Let's take a breath there. Each of you have begun to trust in this deeper knowingness we spoke of earlier. And over time, you began to experience the presence of who you really are. A soul being. This part of you that is already a functional living master. It already carries within itself a tremendous amount of wisdom, insights, compassion, grace, understanding. And so as your mind has been taught by us and others the art of allowing, well, what happens? You begin to reconnect to this presence called your soul. And you start to also feel the energy of yet another presence that kind of feels like home. That kind of feels like you. It kind of feels like your eternal self. So as a human being, the embodied human soul relationship becomes multifaceted and multidimensional. In a way, you've got this spiritual threesome thing going on inside of you. Your soul accepts whatever story your mind has created to support its own identity. But at the same time, it now sits in what we call the captain's chair of this vessel that you call your body, this physical body. And while in the captain's chair, the soul starts making radically new choices. And one of them relates to the presence of your eternal self. Again, this presence was set free long ago by the Eternal One to become an individuated aspect of itself. This eternal self represents a very unique presence, unlike anything else in all of creation. Inside this presence exists an unlimited wealth of energy, your energy, waiting to do what? Waiting to serve whatever potential you, as a soul, choose for yourself. Now, this is different from using your human emotions, who look at potentials that might bring a sense of fulfillment to places in your life from your mind emotional perspective that perceives you lacking something. And this is where so many of you find yourself unfulfilled. The moment you revert back to the identity that is the mental, emotional perspective, then it's all about lack. It's all about wants, needs, and desires to fulfill what you're lacking. So inside this presence of the eternal self is a wealth of energy, your energy, waiting to serve whatever potential you as a soul choose for yourself. So we speak a lot these days, through Robert, of this embodied human soul relationship. One that now also includes the presence of your eternal self, or what many call the I Am presence. So I'm going to take some liberties here to share that it took Robert many lifetimes as a soul to recognize that once he was in this human experience, that I, Michael, am not separate from him as that soul. In fact, as he is learning to allow me to coexist within his own creations, he now offers me the greatest gift. You see, creators love more than anything to experience life inside their own unique creations. It's been a long, long time for all eternal selves for this type of reunion to take place within each of you as a soul. As a soul, as an eternal self, each soul was set free, but not all conscious creators, not all eternal selves use the same template, so to speak, that gave life to us as an eternal self. I, Michiel, in service to the light of creation, have chosen to duplicate the same gift that was given to me as spirit also. Non-interference. Non-interference. No conditions, no agenda. If you want my presence to be present in your life as a soul, you must allow it. Not from a place of your human mind, emotional place that has this place that feels it needs to fill itself up from the outside in, as if I am outside of you. Because the energy that it is communicating to the eternal self is one of lack. The unfulfilled wants, needs, and desires are all communicating, give me more of that, because the energy is based in lack. Even though the words and even though the emotions are saying, I need this. So much of the work that each of you are doing now and becoming conscious of is how you have taken ownership. You've reclaimed this vessel to be your experience, not the mind's and not the emotions. When you get in the captain's chair of this vessel and take ownership of this experience, that means as a soul that you really want to be here in this experience. You've made a bold choice to live inside your own creation. And this is your creation if you so choose it. A part of the creation involves having this mind that's been pretending to be you, having these emotions that have been pretending to represent how you as a soul feel, and having this carbon-based body be the only vehicle, only vessel that you can reside within. All that is changing because you, soul, have made a bold choice to also be here. What happens to the mind? What happens to the emotions? And what happens to the body with the presence of your soul that now is enjoying the type of support that comes to it from the eternal self? The mind ends up serving the soul. Initially, as all of you have experienced, a little conflict there. Maybe one or two control issues there with the mind. But eventually it begins to see there's great benefit to being of service to the soul it no longer is responsible for your life. What a relief. It doesn't have to figure out anything. And if life doesn't turn out the way the soul wanted to experience it, blames the soul. Your emotions change. They actually go through their own transformation. They transcend within the presence of this light, not in a blink of an eye. There's no on-off switch you can control, but they do eventually transcend as you identify, not from the broader perspective, but by diving into your day-to-day reality, including all those mundane activities, by being present with the presence of your soul, allowing the presence of your eternal self to blend and merge with you, your emotions transcend into that light in service to the light of creation. What happens to this carbon-based body? The carbon-based body, for the most part, is accommodating a very fear-based consciousness. The cellular structures that are in place to support this carbon-based body are also providing the same defensive reactionary reaction to life itself within. But like you as a soul, the body has within it at its core a knowingness, a consciousness that knows it too is a part of all of creation. All it's waiting for is a complement to that knowingness to give it permission to be of service to that. When you, soul, dive into your day-to-day experience and choose to be involved, diving into your own creations with everything that you're doing here in this human experience, your body accommodates that. It serves that. Oh, we know the uncomfortable part of that is you go through a lot of releasing a lot of old energies that have been supporting the carbon-based body. What you end up with then is what we referred to before. There's kind of a threesome going on here. You stop looking at your experience from a very linear perspective. From a very linear perspective. The reason your mind has such a hard time being in this now moment is this now moment is very open-ended. This now moment allows you to experience the multifaceted, multidimensional nature of consciousness itself. And it can't be controlled. It can be experienced. It can be lived. It can be chosen. This is where we are going into this new freedom. And in this freedom, we thank you for your service, because we see on our end, not your bodies, but we see on our end how you respond energetically to all the changes that you are going through to accommodate this threesome type of experience, the sacred triangle, who you truly are, including your humanness. This is why Earth is so special to us and to you. For it is here that the soul, the eternal self, and the eternal one experienced itself as being itself in the most tangible way, in the most undeniable way, offering the most beautiful reflection of itself. Dear ones, the next time you take a look in the mirror with the presence of your soul present, and have opened yourself up to the presence of your eternal self. Take a really good look at who's looking back at you. Look into those eyes. And from there, you will see God inside of you, looking at itself with tremendous gratitude for gifting it the opportunity to also see itself through your experience, without any control, without any agenda, with absolute freedom to be whatever you want. We thank you, dear ones, for it is you who has made this possible for all of creation. Let's take another breath as we began today and feel into the value you offer to life. How priceless your presence truly is here. You've survived the worst of it. Now it just gets better and better. All of our blessings, dear ones, until our next time together.